The ambient light of Arcturus Station flickered as emergency sirens wailed. Through the command center's panoramic windows, the once bustling space around the station was now a graveyard of shattered Alliance vessels, their debris glinting like tears against the void. Admiral Genter's 4 hands gripped the tactical console, his silver skin losing its luster as the station's shields buckled under another barrage from the Void Dominion vessels, obsidian monoliths that seemed to devour light itself. "Our quantum barriers are failing," reported Science Officer Kalmara, her voice trembling. "The Void's disruption beams are modulating faster than our systems can adapt." The most advanced defensive outpost in the sector, built by the combined genius of 17 species, crumbled like paper. Alliance officers from a dozen worlds worked frantically, some praying to their ancestral gods, others frozen in shock as death approached. "Reroute auxiliary power to the medical bay shields," Genter ordered, his compound eyes tracking the destruction outside. "There are still civilians there." A thunderous impact shook the station. Conduits burst, showering the command deck with sparks. 3 officers were thrown across the room when their console exploded in a shower of crystalline fragments. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission on an unfamiliar frequency." The communications array erupted in static before clearing to reveal a new signal. "This is Captain Thomas Rivera of the Earth diplomatic vessel Enen's Pathfinder. We've arrived for the admission ceremony and are reading massive energy discharges. What's happening?" Admiral Zente's compound eyes widened. The humans, the primitives they'd reluctantly considered for probationary membership, had arrived at the worst possible moment. "Captain Rivera," Genter responded, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Arcturus Station is under attack by the Void Dominion. You must retreat immediately. Transmitting tactical data now." On the Pathfinder's bridge, senior diplomat Elena Novak watched in horror as an Alliance cruiser was sliced in half by a void beam. The vessel's spine cracked open like an egg, spilling crew and atmosphere into the vacuum. She forced herself to look away from the silent carnage. "Captain, we need to leave, now." "The jump drive needs 15 minutes to recalibrate," River replied, his face grim. "We won't survive 5. Elena's mind raced. Their sensors are calibrated for Alliance tech signatures. What about the stealth system we developed after the Proxima incident? A ghost of a smile crossed Rivera's face. "The system the Alliance Technical Committee called crude and ineffective." "Exactly," Elena said. "They dismissed it because it doesn't work against Alliance detection methods. But the Void isn't using Alliance tech." "Worth a shot," River agreed, tapping commands into his console. "Engaging stealth systems. Maintaining minimal power signature." The Pathfinder's lights dimmed as power was diverted to the experimental system. The ship's hull, a composite of materials developed from Earth's centuries of warfare, began absorbing rather than reflecting sensor scans. As the Pathfinder vanished from sensors, Elena watched the station's final moments on passive scanners. The Void ships methodically dismantled the Alliance's proudest achievement, section by section. In the command center, Admiral Genter recorded a final message, his eyes staring directly at the camera, as if seeing the humans he knew must be watching. "The Void cannot be stopped by conventional means. Their hive mind anticipates our every strategy. Our civilization faces extinction." He paused, mandibles clicking in what Elena recognized as their version of solemn resolution. "If you're receiving this, you are our last hope. Fight as only humans know how." The transmission ended in static and fire. Elena gripped the edge of her console, knuckles white. "We need to get this information back to Earth." Rivera nodded, his jaw set. "Navigation. Plot a course out of the system. Stay in the debris field as long as possible." As the Pathfinder slipped away, Elena cast one last look where Arcturus Station had stood. Only fragments remained, tumbling in the void. Among them floated the bodies of a dozen species, united in death as they had been in life. "They never stood a chance," she whispered. Low River agreed, his voice hard. "But we might." The Pathfinder accelerated away from the graveyard of Alliance hopes, carrying with it the terrible knowledge that would awaken humanity's sleeping warriors. The battle for survival had begun, and Earth would answer the call, not with diplomacy, but with fire. Rain lashed against the windows of the United Earth Defense Council chamber in Geneva. The 24 representatives sat in stunned silence as Elena Novak's presentation concluded with Admiral Zenta's final message playing on the central holographic display. "The void cannot be stopped by conventional means. Fight as only humans know how." The alien's dying words hung in the air as the projection faded. Lightning flashed outside, momentarily illuminating the grim faces of Earth's leaders. "The Alliance ridiculed our military capabilities," said General Okonkwo, his Nigerian accent thick with emotion. "Now they beg for our help." Admiral Jackson Chen stood, his weathered face lined with decades of service. At 67, he was the oldest active military commander on Earth, a veteran of the resource wars that had nearly destroyed civilization 30 years ago. "They beg because they don't understand what we built or why we built it." The Admiral activated a secure channel. The chamber's lights, dimmed as a hidden projection system, revealed images that made several council members gasp. Massive shipyards concealed in the asteroid belt, beneath the surface of Mars, and in the clouds of Jupiter. "Operation Damocles," Chen said, naming the classified program that fewer than 50 humans knew existed. "After the resource wars unified Earth, we knew peace was fragile." The images shifted to vessels unlike any in the Alliance, asymmetrical, bristling with unconventional weapons, their hulls a patchwork of materials engineered to absorb and deflect energy. "We built these ships not to fight other humans, but to protect humanity from what we always suspected was out there." Chen's voice dropped to a near whisper. "And now it's found us." Dr. Amara Okafor, the Council's ethics advisor, rose from her seat. The scars on her face, remnants of the Lagos bombardment, caught the light. "We rebuilt from the ashes of the resource wars by pledging never to bring our violence to the stars. Are we to abandon that principle now?" "If we don't fight," Elena interjected, stepping forward, "there will be no stars left for anyone." The council chamber transformed into a virtual display of the galaxy, with red spreading like a bloodstain across thousands of systems. "This is the void's projected expansion in the next solar year," Chen explained. "Earth isn't just fighting for the Alliance, we're fighting for our own survival." "How many ships?" asked Councillor Takahashi, her voice barely audible. 50 capital ships, 120 support vessels, crew complements of 30,000. "My God," whispered someone. "We've been building this in secret for decades." Since the first alien wreckage was recovered in 2097, Chen confirmed. "We've been preparing while pretending to focus on terraforming and scientific exploration." The chamber fell silent again, each member wrestling with the implications. They had devoted their lives to maintaining Earth's hard-won peace, to ensuring that humanity would never again turn its talent for violence against itself. And now they were being asked to unleash that violence on an unprecedented scale. A soft chime broke the silence. A message appeared on the central display. "Void scout ships detected at Kuiper Belt boundary. Estimated time to Earth, 30 days. Chen's jaw tightened. "They're moving faster than we anticipated." "They know we're a threat," Elena said quietly. "That's why they targeted Arcturus Station when they did, to prevent our admission to the Alliance." "And now they're coming here," said Okonkwo, his hand unconsciously moving to the ceremonial sword at his side, a relic of his family's military history. "So we decide," said Takahashi, standing. "Peace has been our mandate. But peace is not surrender. Peace is not extinction. She placed a small object on the table, a piece of twisted metal recovered from the final battle of the resource wars. We swore never to repeat our mistakes, but perhaps our greatest mistake would be failing to recognize when violence is necessary to preserve life. The vote was unanimous. As the council adjourned, Chen approached Elena. The TDF Prometheus will be ready in 72 hours. I want you on board. I'm a diplomat, not a soldier, Elena protested. You're both now, Chen replied. You understand the alliance. You witnessed the Void's attack firsthand. And most importantly, you know why we must fight. Outside, the rain stopped abruptly. The clouds parted to reveal a sky full of stars. Stars that would soon witness humanity's return to its warrior roots. In orbit, the first of Earth's hidden fleet was already emerging from its concealment, the name emblazoned on its hull catching the sunlight. TDF Prometheus, bring our fire to the heavens. And fire was coming. The Terran fleet emerged from jump space, 50 ships strong, their hulls dark against the backdrop of the Cygnus Nebula. Swirls of cosmic dust painted the void in shades of crimson and gold, illuminating the armada in an eerie, blood-tinged light. On the bridge of the TDF Prometheus, Admiral Chen studied the tactical display where 12 Void Scout ships patrolled the sector, their obsidian forms cutting through space like sharks through dark water. Perfect, he whispered, just as intelligence predicted. Elena Novak shifted uncomfortably beside him. In the 2 weeks since they'd left Earth, she traded her diplomatic uniform for a tactical officer's jumpsuit, but she still felt like an imposter among warriors. Admiral, Alliance protocol dictates avoiding engagement until reaching Allied space, she said, repeating the guidelines she'd studied for years. Chen's smile was cold. We're not the Alliance. He activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, implement Ragnarok protocol. The Terran vessels split into 3 groups, their movements chaotic and unpredictable. Nothing like the disciplined formations of Alliance fleets. On the tactical display, Elena watched as the neat arrangement dissolved into what appeared to be random positioning. What are they doing? She asked. What no strategist would expect, Chen replied. Chaos. The Void Scouts, sensing the approaching ships, arranged themselves in a defensive lattice, their movements perfectly synchronized. They're forming a telepathic network, reported Lieutenant Gu, the sensor officer. Hive mind activation detected. Their coordination is perfect. Perfect is predictable, Chen said. Deploy the Babel devices. Throughout the fleet, specialized transmitters activated, broadcasting a cacophony of human consciousness, music, arguments, laughter, screams, poetry, and nonsense, all algorithmically randomized to create patterns that began to form and then shattered before completion. The nebula seemed to vibrate with the invisible signals. On the tactical display, the void formation faltered, their perfect geometric arrangement wobbling like a disrupted spiderweb. Their hive mind relies on predictable patterns, Chen explained to Elena, his eyes never leaving the display. We're giving them noise that almost makes sense, then doesn't. It's like trying to think while 1,000 people are shouting contradictory instructions. Elena watched in fascination as the void ships began to move erratically, their coordination dissolving. Weapons free, Chen ordered. Focus on targets Epsilon through Lambda. The Terran ships closed in. Instead of energy weapons, they launched what appeared to be primitive missiles. But these kinetic kill vehicles were wrapped in technology that made them virtually invisible to void sensors until impact. The view screen flashed as the first missiles struck home. A void ship shuddered, its surface rippling like disturbed water before it cracked open, venting atmosphere and bodies into space. The second exploded from within, its reactor containment reached by a missile that had penetrated its hull undetected. The result was devastating. The void ships, their coordinated defense disrupted, were torn apart by weapons they never detected. One by one, they fragmented into clouds of debris. "Leave that one," Chen ordered as weapons locked onto the final void vessel. "Disable its engines only." Precision fire from the Prometheus severed the ship's propulsion array. The damaged scout vessel struggled to escape, listing to one side like a wounded animal as the Terran fleet allowed it to limp away. "Why let it go?" Elena asked, watching the retreating vessel. Chen's expression darkened. "The void is a hive mind. That ship will return to the collective carrying the memory of its defeat. And terror, an emotion the void has never experienced before." He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Fear will spread through their network like a virus." Elena stared at the departing ship. "You're not just fighting them physically. You're attacking their psychology." "Exactly." Chen activated the ship's comm system. "Send this message on all frequencies. We are humanity. We are coming." The transmission blasted outward, accompanying the fleeing void ship like an invisible escort, a psychological weapon as potent as any missile. On the tactical display, the damaged void vessel vanished into jump space, carrying with it something the hive mind had never encountered before, the terrible knowledge that it could be defeated, and the even more terrible uncertainty of what the humans would do next. "Set course for Proxima Centauri IWE," Chen ordered. "Maximum speed." As the fleet realigned for jump, Elena caught sight of the ship's name illuminated against the nebula's crimson backdrop. Prometheus, the Titan who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. Now humanity was bringing that fire to the stars. The crystalline spires of Proxima Centauri II glittered in the binary starlight as the Terran fleet descended through the atmosphere. Translucent buildings reached toward the amber sky, their architecture defying both gravity and human understanding, the pinnacle of Alliance aesthetics. On a vast landing platform, the Alliance Leadership Council awaited, the surviving representatives of 17 species, their ornate ceremonial armor, a stark contrast to the utilitarian uniforms of the human officers who disembarked from the shuttles. High Commander Xelis of the Arcadian Republic didn't bother to hide his disdain as the first human ship touched down. 7 meters tall, with iridescent scales and 4 arms that ended in delicate 6-fingered hands, he represented a species that had abandoned warfare millennia ago. "These are warships?" he asked, mandibles clicking in contempt as he inspected the Terran vessels. "They look like industrial accidents." Admiral Chen, flanked by Elena and his senior officers, stepped forward to meet the alien delegation. He raised his eyes to meet Zealous' gaze, refusing to be intimidated by the towering figure. "Form follows function, Commander. These accidents destroyed a Void Scout fleet without losing a single ship." Zealous' translucent skin flushed with skepticism. "Improbable. Our finest vessels couldn't." "Exactly," Chen interrupted. "Your finest vessels couldn't. That's why we're here." The tension crackled between them, 2 species with fundamentally different philosophies of existence. Around them, other Alliance representatives murmured among themselves, some casting suspicious glances at the human delegation, others looking on with desperate hope. "Perhaps," said a familiar voice, "a demonstration would be appropriate." Admiral Zenta stepped forward, one of the few survivors of Arcturus Station. His silver skin was now marred with healing wounds, and he moved with the careful gait of one still recovering from severe injuries. "Admiral Zenta," Elena gasped. "You survived." "Barely," he replied. "An evacuation pod. 3 weeks in space before rescue." His compound eyes focused on Chen. "I watched your message intercept. You let one of them escape, deliberately." Chen nodded. "Psychological warfare. A concept your people abandoned long ago. Show us," Zenta said, "what humanity remembers that we have forgotten." The Alliance Council chamber transformed into a battle simulation arena. Holographic projectors created a perfect replica of space combat conditions, complete with gravitational anomalies and radiation fields. The Alliance's most advanced remaining warship, the Celestial Harmony, hovered in holographic splendor, a teardrop of silvery metal, its design a perfect balance of technological elegance. Opposite it appeared a Terran corvette, the Defiant, its hull a patchwork of armor plates and exposed weapon systems. The gathered aliens murmured in dismay. "Begin simulation," Genta ordered. What followed stunned the Alliance representatives. The Terran ship moved in ways that defied conventional space combat doctrine, using micro-jumps and controlled power fluctuations to appear damaged and vulnerable before striking with devastating precision. The Celestial Harmony followed standard Alliance tactics, textbook maneuvers perfected over thousands of years of theoretical combat exercises. It was beautiful, predictable, and utterly ineffective. When the simulation ended, the Celestial Harmony was a drifting wreck, its perfect form shattered by the Defiant's unconventional attack patterns. "Impossible," Sailors whispered. "The simulation must be flawed." "No," said a quiet voice from the back of the chamber. A Meridian scientist stepped forward, a crystalline body reflecting the light. "I examined their vessels. The humans have combined technologies in ways we never considered. They've achieved synergies we thought impossible." Elena stepped forward. "The Alliance has evolved beyond conflict. That's admirable, but it means you've forgotten something essential, the instinct and experience that comes from millennia of fighting for survival." "Barbarians," hissed another counselor. "Yes," Chen agreed without shame. "And barbarians are exactly what you need right now." The chamber doors burst open. An aide rushed in, interrupting the tense exchange. "The Void Fleet has changed course," he announced, his voice quavering. "They're heading directly for Earth." In the silence that followed, Chen's communicator chimed with an incoming transmission. The message from Earth Defense Command was brief. Void scout ships had been detected at the edge of the solar system. "They're targeting our homeworld," Chen announced, his voice hardening. "This is no longer about saving the Alliance. This is about the survival of humanity." The Alliance representatives exchanged glances. For the first time, they saw something beyond the primitive exterior of these humans. They saw the steel in their eyes, the resolve in their posture. They saw warriors awakened. "We will follow your lead, Admiral Chen," Genta said finally. "The Alliance forces are yours to command." As the council adjourned, sailors approached Chen privately. "Your tactics violate every principle of honorable warfare established over millennia of galactic civilization." Chen's smile was cold. "Honor is a luxury of the victorious, Commander." His eyes reflected the amber light of the binary stars. "And right now, we can't afford luxuries." The Rigel corridor stretched before the combined fleet, like a cosmic gauntlet. A narrow passage of stable space surrounded by radiation fields and gravitational anomalies. Stellar light filtered through dust clouds, casting long shadows across the assembled vessels. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Admiral Chen studied the tactical display. The fleet had arranged itself according to traditional Alliance doctrine, a three-layer defensive formation designed to counter the expected Void approach. "They're coming," announced Lieutenant Guo. "Void signatures detected. Many more than anticipated." The starfield before them darkened as hundreds of Void ships emerged from jump space, a swarm 3 times larger than intelligence had predicted. The Obsidian vessels moved with perfect synchronization, their formation resembling a massive spearhead aimed at the heart of the Alliance fleet. Panic erupted on the Alliance communication channels. "There are too many," cried an Arcadian captain. "We must retreat." Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold positions. All Terran vessels, prepare to implement contingency Alpha." Elena grabbed his arm. "Alpha? That's a suicide mission. No, Chen corrected her, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. It's a calculated risk. He opened a channel to 5 specific destroyers. Vanguard Squadron, you have green light. Godspeed. The 5 ships, named Thermopylae, Masada, Alamo, Dunkirk, and Salamis after famous last stands in human history, broke formation. Their engines flared beyond safety parameters as they accelerated directly toward the center of the void formation. "What are they doing?" gasped Sailors from his command ship. "Something you've forgotten how to do," Chen replied over the open channel. "Sacrifice." The void ships, detecting the approach, focused their weapons on the incoming destroyers. The Alamo's shields failed first, its hull breached in a dozen places. Despite the damage, the crew continued their charge, even as life support systems failed on multiple decks. "Salamis is hit," reported Gu, his voice tight. Thermopylae reports critical damage to their reactor containment. On the main view screen, Captain Sato of the Thermopylae appeared, her face illuminated by emergency lighting. Blood trickled from a cut on her forehead. "Reactor containment breached, Admiral. We can hold it together for another 90 seconds. "That's all we need, Mizuki," Chen replied, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions behind it. "Is the package ready?" "Armed and counting down," Sato confirmed. Behind her, the bridge crew worked furiously, some already succumbing to radiation poisoning. "It's been an honor, sir." "The honor is ours," Chen said. Prometheus out. The destroyers plunged into the heart of the void formation. There was a moment of silence, then a series of blinding flashes as specialized neutron bombs detonated, not designed to destroy, but to disrupt the void's neural network. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The perfect coordination of the void ships dissolved into chaos as their hive-mind connection was severed within the blast radius. Vessels that had moved in perfect unison now drifted in confusion, some colliding with each other. "All ships, attack pattern Omega," Chen ordered. "Target the isolated vessels." The Terran fleet surged forward, using weapons the Void never anticipated. Mining lasers repurposed to cut through hulls, electromagnetic pulses calibrated to the exact frequency of Void neural pathways, and swarms of autonomous drones that attached themselves to enemy ships and broadcast the chaotic Babel signals directly into their systems. The Alliance ships followed, their conventional weapons suddenly effective against the disoriented enemy. "We've broken their formation," Sailors reported, his voice tinged with reluctant admiration. "They're retreating." "The Dunkirk is signaling," Go announced. "They've sustained critical damage, but are still operational. Masada and Salamis are also reporting in." Chen closed his eyes briefly. "And the others?" Whose voice faltered. "The Thermopylae and Alamo are done, sir. With all hands." 276 humans, erased from existence in a calculated gamble. The bridge fell silent. Elena watched Chen's face, expecting to see the grief she felt. Instead, his expression was a mask of stone. "Send search and rescue to the surviving vessels," he ordered. "Salvage teams to recover Thermopylae and Alamo wreckage. Nothing gets left behind." In the aftermath, as the fleet regrouped, Genta approached Chen on the Prometheus. "Your people willingly sacrificed themselves," he said quietly. "My species evolved beyond such measures eons ago. We considered it a mark of our advancement." "Perhaps," Chen replied. "But sometimes advancement means losing something valuable. The willingness to die for others isn't primitive. It's the highest form of civilization." Later, alone in his quarters, Chen added 276 names to a list he kept locked in a secure datapad. He knew every name, every face. A list that had grown too long already. His hand trembled slightly as he added Captain Mizuki Sato's name to the bottom. He had sent them to die, and they had gone willingly. That was the burden of command, and the terrible gift of humanity. The holographic display in the Prometheus's war room showed the remaining Void Fleet's trajectory. A direct line to Earth. Alliance commanders crowded around the table, their faces grim in the blue light of the projection. "We must intercept them before they reach your homeworld," insisted Xelis, his 4 arms gesturing at potential choke points along the Void's path. "We can position our remaining forces here, at the Tau Ceti junction." Chen studied the display, his eyes tracking the projected course. After a long moment, he shook his head. "No, we let them go to Earth." The room erupted in outrage. Alien voices overlapped in a cacophony of disbelief and accusation. "You would sacrifice your own world," demanded an Arcadian commander, her crystalline form pulsing with angry light. "Admiral Chen is right," Elena interjected, her voice cutting through the chaos. "The Void believes they're striking at our heart, our weakness. They don't understand what awaits them." Explained and requested, his compound eyes fixed on Chen. Chen activated a secure channel, entering an encryption code that only he and a handful of Earth Defense Council members possessed. The holographic display shifted to show Earth from orbit. But not as the Alliance representatives expected. The space around the planet was cluttered with what appeared to be debris and antiquated satellites, a cloud of technological refuse that the Alliance had always found primitively messy. "What the Alliance doesn't know," Chen explained, "is that after the resource wars, we didn't just build ships. We built a defensive grid disguised as orbital trash." The image zoomed in on what looked like a derelict communications satellite. Its exterior was weathered and pitted with micrometeorite impacts, solar panels hanging at odd angles as if damaged. Each of these objects contained specialized disruptors designed to target the Void's neural network. Thousands of them in seemingly random orbits. "But that's..." Salus began. "Paranoid." Chen finished. "Yes. Humans have always prepared for the worst. It's how we survived our own history." Elena stepped closer to the display. "The Void's hive mind has never encountered our particular brand of chaos. Their coordinated attack patterns will make them vulnerable to our disruptors." Zenta moved around the table, studying the orbital pattern. "You've created a trap, a noose that will tighten when they enter Earth orbit." "Exactly," Chen confirmed. "But we need them to believe they've caught us unprepared." The plan was set. The combined fleet would remain hidden behind Luna, Earth's moon, while allowing the Void Armada to enter orbit. Only when the trap was sprung would they attack the disoriented enemy. Days later, the Void Fleet arrived in the Sol system. They bypassed the outer planetary defenses, heading straight for Earth, exactly as Chen predicted. From the Prometheus's observation deck, Elena watched her homeworld grow larger on the view screen, its blue oceans and white clouds seemingly peaceful from this distance. "They're taking the bait," Chen said, joining her at the viewport. "No evasive maneuvers, no caution. They think they've won already." The Void Armada entered high Earth orbit, their obsidian forms blotting out the stars as they positioned themselves for a planetary bombardment. "Shouldn't we activate the grid now?" Elena asked, her fingers digging into her palms as she watched the enemy ships moving into attack formation. Chen checked his chronometer. "Not yet. We need them all inside the perimeter." On Earth, billions watched the sky darken as the Void ships moved into position. Emergency broadcasts urged people to remain in designated shelters. In Geneva, the Defense Council monitored the approaching fleet with calculated calm. "Activation code authorized," announced Councillor Takahashi over the secure channel. "Grid control transferred to Prometheus. Admiral Chen, the fate of Earth is in your hands." Chen's finger hovered over the activation control. "For 276, he whispered, thinking of the names on his list. As the void ships locked weapons on their targets and prepared to rain destruction upon humanity's cradle, Chen pressed the control. For a moment, nothing happened. The void fleet remained in perfect formation, poised to strike. Then, one by one, the seemingly derelict satellites around Earth began to power up. Thousands of points of light activated simultaneously, enveloping the planet in a web of energy that pulsed with an electromagnetic frequency calibrated to one purpose: disrupting the void's hive mind neural structure. And for the first time in their existence, the void experienced something humans knew intimately: fear. Individual void ships, cut off from their collective, encountered terror and confusion. Some fled, some attacked each other, others shut down completely. The perfect formation shattered into chaos as each vessel became an island of panic in the void. "It's working," Elena whispered, watching the tactical display as the void fleet disintegrated into individual units, their movements erratic and uncoordinated. "Now," Chen ordered, his voice resonating through the command channel, "all ships, execute attack pattern Thanatos." The Terran Defense Fleet emerged from hiding behind Luna, along with a second, secret fleet that not even the Alliance knew existed. Smaller vessels, faster and more heavily armed, custom-built for the assault they were about to launch. Salus's vessel pulled alongside the Prometheus as they accelerated toward Earth. A second fleet? His voice crackled over the comm. "How many secrets does humanity keep?" "As many as necessary," Chen replied. "Follow our lead and target the vessels we mark." The battle that followed wasn't a battle at all. It was a slaughter. The void's disarray turned into a rout as the human armada launched a coordinated attack on the fragmented enemy forces. Ships that had never known defeat exploded in silent bursts of light against Earth's atmosphere. Within 6 hours, it was over. The void fleet was decimated, with only a handful of vessels escaping into jump space. In the aftermath, as Earth's orbital defense grid powered down, Chen called a meeting of the combined fleet commanders. The mood was jubilant. They had achieved what the Alliance had thought impossible. But Chen wasn't celebrating. "We've won a battle," he told the assembled officers, human and alien alike. "Not the war." The holographic display at the center of the war room showed the projected trajectory of the escaped void ships, a direct course to their territory on the far side of the Sagittarius Arm. "They're returning to their central command," Elena observed. "And they're carrying information," Chen added. "They know our tactics now. They'll adapt." The Alliance commanders exchanged uncomfortable glances. Their military doctrine had always been defensive, never carrying war to an enemy's homeworld. Such actions were considered barbaric, remnants of a primitive past they had evolved beyond. "What are you suggesting, Admiral?" Genta asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Chen's eyes were cold. A counter-invasion into void space. The Alliance representatives erupted in protest. "Unthinkable. Against all principles. We defend, we do not attack." Chen let them vent before speaking again. "The void doesn't share your principles. They came to exterminate us, not negotiate." He gestured to the display, showing the remnants of destroyed void ships in Earth orbit. "And we've discovered something crucial." The display shifted to show analysis of captured void technology. Their ships contain navigation data. We know where they came from. A massive artificial structure orbiting a dying star. Elena studied the readings. A Dyson sphere. They're harvesting a star's energy. "Not completed yet," Chen confirmed. "But close. And when it's finished, they'll have the power to overwhelm any defense we can muster." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "We have one advantage," Chen continued. "They've never been attacked in their home territory. They've never needed to defend it. And right now, they're in disarray, their hive mind disrupted by our countermeasures." Thales raised himself to his full height. The Alliance cannot sanction an offensive war. Then don't, Chen replied. Humanity will go alone. The statement hung in the air like a challenge. Elena watched the alien representatives, seeing the conflict in their expressions, or what passed for expressions in their diverse physiologies. Finally, Genta spoke. If you go, the Valyrian fleet will accompany you. He turned to face the other Alliance members. We witnessed the fall of Arcturus. I heard the dying screams of thousands. If we do not end this threat now, that fate awaits all our worlds. One by one, other representatives stepped forward to join. We'll need to use captured void ships to navigate their jump points, Chen explained, bringing up the battle plan. A small infiltration force, fast and surgical. The holographic display showed the approach to the massive Dyson structure, a partial sphere surrounding a red giant star. What we find there, Chen concluded, will determine the future of all our species. As the meeting adjourned, Elena caught Chen studying the images of the void homeworld with an expression she couldn't quite read. What are you expecting to find there? She asked quietly. Chen's eyes remained fixed on the dying star and the massive structure harvesting its energy. Answers, he said, and perhaps redemption. The combined fleet dropped out of jump space at the edge of the Dyson sphere's gravity well. Through the Prometheus's viewport, the structure was breathtaking, a partial shell surrounding a dying red giant, capturing its energy even as it pulsed with unstable solar flares. My God, whispered Elena. It's enormous. The artificial structure stretched across millions of kilometers, its surface a lattice of black metal that absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Void ships swarmed around it like insects protecting a hive, though their movements lacked the perfect coordination they had displayed before their defeat at Earth. The neural destruction is still affecting them, Chen observed. Their hive mind hasn't fully recovered. Using the captured void ships as cover, the infiltration force approached the sphere's outer perimeter. Intelligence gathered from the battle debris had revealed access points, maintenance docks where the structure's builders entered and exited. All ships, maintain comm silence, Chen ordered. Follow the lead vessels and prepare boarding parties. The small fleet of captured vessels, piloted by human crews, docked at a maintenance hub on the sphere's equatorial band. Special forces teams in exo-armor cut through the airlocks, reaching the Void's sanctuary for the first time in their history. Elena, against Chen's direct order, had joined the infiltration team. I'm not a soldier, she had told him, but I understand alien psychology better than anyone on this ship. Now moving through the eerie corridors of the void structure, she understood why she had insisted on coming. The interior was unlike anything human or Alliance architects would have designed. Organic and mechanical elements merged seamlessly, pulsing with an energy that felt almost alive. This isn't just a power station, she said over the tactical comm. It's connected somehow, like a massive neural network. The infiltration teams pushed deeper, following energy signatures to what appeared to be a central processing hub. What they found there stopped them in their tracks. Suspended in transparent chambers, filled with luminescent fluid, were bodies. Thousands of them from dozens of species. Some were Alliance races, others unknown even to the xenobiologists. Thin filaments connected their nervous systems to the station's infrastructure. They're alive, reported the medical officer, scanning the nearest chamber. Brain function is minimal, but present. They're using them, Elena realized, horror dawning on her face. The organic minds are processing nodes for their network. As the teams moved further into the facility, they discovered isolation chambers separate from the others. Elena peered through the translucent material and gasped. Humans, she whispered. Dozens of chambers contained human bodies, colonists from distant outposts, thought lost to accidents or spatial anomalies. Unlike the other captives, These humans weren't integrated into the network. They were being studied. A datapad recovered from a control station revealed the truth. The Void couldn't integrate human consciousness into their network. The human mind, with its chaotic individuality and capacity for both logic and emotion, was incompatible with their hive structure. "Admiral," Elena said over the comm, her voice trembling with the implications, "I think I've found their weakness." Chen, who had remained on the Prometheus to coordinate the attack, leaned forward in his command chair. "Explain." "The Void's entire civilization is built on the assimilation of other consciousnesses into their network. But they can't assimilate us. Our minds are too contradictory, too individual." Chen's tactical mind immediately grasped what she was suggesting. "If they can't absorb us, they fear us," Elena finished. "We're the only species they've encountered that they can't understand or control." As they spoke, alarm signals blared throughout the structure. The Void had detected the intrusion. "We're blown," reported the team leader. "Hostiles converging on our position." Chen made an instant decision. "Fall back to the extraction point. We have what we came for." But Elena wasn't listening. She had moved to a central control interface, her diplomatic training allowing her to recognize patterns in the alien system. "This is their central processing hub," she said. "It manages the entire network." Chen understood immediately. "Can you access it?" Elena's fingers flew over the alien controls, applying patterns she'd learned from studying the Void's communication systems. "I think so. But what do we do with it?" "We can't destroy the station. There are thousands of innocent beings integrated into it." Chen was silent for a moment. Then, his voice calm with the certainty of one who has found the answer to an impossible question, he said, "We don't destroy them. We transform them." Using the Prometheus's communication array, Chen transmitted a specially curated data package to Elena's position. The full spectrum of human consciousness. Art, music, poetry, rage, love, grief, hope. The contradictions and complexities that made humanity what it was. "Upload it into their network," he ordered. Alliance scientists on the support vessels protested. Such an upload could be considered an act of psychological torture against the Void, argued a Meridian ethicist. "It violates fundamental diplomatic principles. It's either this or genocide," Chen countered, "and humans have evolved beyond that option." As Void security forces closed in on the infiltration team, Elena completed the upload. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. Throughout the structure, systems fluctuated wildly as the Void network, unable to process the contradictions and emotional complexity of human consciousness, began to fragment. But instead of collapse, something unexpected happened. The network adapted, evolved. Individual consciousness emerged within the collective for the first time. The Void entities experiencing selfhood for the first time reeled in confusion and wonder. The battle ended not with destruction but transformation. The newly individualized Void entities, overwhelmed by their first experience of autonomous thought, withdrew their forces, their aggression replaced by something entirely new, curiosity. 3 days later, the first diplomatic communication arrived from the transformed Void collective. They requested Pali, their language now filled with concepts of I and we, where before there had only been the whole. In the aftermath, as the combined fleet prepared to return home, the Galactic Alliance formally welcomed Earth as a full member. Admiral Zenta, addressing the Alliance Council, acknowledged their error in judgment. "We mistook humanity's warlike history as a sign of primitiveness," he said, his compound eyes reflecting the light of the chamber. "In fact, it was the source of their greatest strength, the ability to face impossible odds with courage, sacrifice, and innovation." As the Terran fleet departed for Earth, Alliance historians began documenting what would become known across the galaxy as the Human Gambit, the moment when victory emerged from certain defeat. when the battle seemed lost, until Earth's ultimate war fleet arrived. And with that victory came understanding. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been its ships or its tactics. It had been the chaotic, beautiful complexity of the human spirit, a force more powerful than any weapon, and more profound than any technology. In the end, they had won not by destroying their enemy, but by sharing what made them human.